Today, we get to sit with someone who sees the world in such a unique way. 𝐏𝐢𝐥𝐢𝐥𝐢, soon to be called Dr. 𝐏𝐢𝐥𝐢𝐥𝐢 with a PhD, right? And he is a PhD candidate at the Fitzpatrick Institute of African Ornithology at the University of Cape Town. I hope I pronounced that properly.
Yes.
Ornithology. And his path has taken him from studying birds of prey with UK researchers to teaching and leading student societies, and now diving deep into his PhD research here in South Africa. But what makes this conversation even more special is that 𝐏𝐢 is navigating all of this as a neurodivergent individual. And that shapes not only just how he learns, but how he leads, how he teaches, and how he sees the world. This isn't about science. This isn't only about science. It's about resilience. It's about identity. It's about embracing the gifts that comes with thinking differently. We're going to start at the beginning, 𝐏𝐢. Was there a moment, maybe when you were a kid or a student, where you thought, biology is a thing for me?
Yes. So it started very, very early because my dad is a chemist and microbiologist. So he was the first person in his entire family to go to university. And that was obviously during apartheid and stuff. So it was very difficult for him. But he loved biology and he loved chemistry. So when we were growing up, that was something that he would instill in us. And I have a lot of, so I think I have a little bit of a unique sort of neurodiversity journey because I only got diagnosed in 2021, but
that's quite recent.
It's quite recent, but I was very much neurodivergent before then.
Okay, it was just picked up a little bit late.
Yeah, it was just picked up very late. It was quite funny because so I'm trans, and I went to my doctor for like starting hormones and starting transitioning. And the next session, she was like, I think we need to do an autism test. I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense. And so as a child, I would get overstimulated a lot and I would get very overwhelmed. And my dad's solution to this child that he doesn't know what's going on with was, I'm going to put this child in a room with me and we'll watch nature documentaries together because that's calming. And that's what calmed him down as well. So that's kind of what got me into nature and biology, is that my dad's solution to me being overstimulated was nature documentaries.
Interesting. This is fascinating. Is it because he himself was on the spectrum and he found that to be soothing and therefore extending it to you?
My dad's probably not neurotypical.
Okay.
He doesn't know, but I know.
Okay.
It's one of those things. Yeah. Those things are genetic, and it's got to come somewhere, and I'm so sure it comes from him. But so he had the solution for me, and it worked perfectly. And like, it was everything to do with animals. I obsessed with animals. So when you're growing up, obviously your parents give you different gifts, and it's always like, here's a Barbie doll, and I never liked them. The first gift I ever chose for myself was this thick animal encyclopedia.
How old were you?
Like 6.
What?
Yeah, so we went to like the Pick and Pay, and it was just eye level with me, which was like this small, and it was this giant book, and it had a Siberian tiger on it, and just said animal encyclopedia. And I carried that thing everywhere I went.
Wow.
So we would go to like visit my aunt's house. I'm like, well, what if I need to know about like harpy eagles? I got to bring the book with me. Wow. So I would bring the book everywhere with me.
So you knew you were gifted. I mean, not that you knew, but you were gifted much earlier on. I mean, so much intelligence, being able to carry such a big book as a 6-year-old, and also thinking ahead, just in case I see an eagle, I need to know what this is about.
Yeah, I think, maybe gifted, or maybe just very, what is the word again?
Focused, maybe?
Yeah, it's very special interest. So animals and biology was my special interest when I was very young. And I remember in grade 4, they would make us do what do you want to be when you grow up? And everyone would choose, like, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be a police officer. And I was like, I want to be a marine photographer, because that was my biggest thing. Which is very ironic, because marine biology is the only major at UCT in biology that I didn't do. Because I realized very quickly I didn't like the ocean.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's why you decided to go the other way
I was
around.
like, birds are much better.
But what is it about birds of prey that caught your attention?
I like birds in general. So I love birds as just a concept, because the concept of flight and the way that flight sort of was like evolved is just incredible. So in my high school career, I had this one biology teacher who was fantastic, also neurodivergent, and she was like a saint to me, because she was so sweet and she understood how my brain worked, and she understood that I was not as the other students. Yeah. So she was very helpful and she was very kind, and she was the one who told me, maybe you should study birds because you seem so interested in it. And the more I looked into birds, the more I wanted to study birds of prey, specifically vultures back then. But the vulture research is a little oversaturated right now.
Yeah.
But it's very important research. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's very important research. It's just that the more my interests evolved, the more I realized the birds of prey are just so interesting. And they also just look very cool.
I don't know much about birds, but the way you're talking about them, I'm like, okay, I need to start studying this stuff because I can see your passion comes through. I don't know if you're at the liberty to share the name of the teacher who supported you so lovingly when you were in primary school and recognized you in the midst of all the other learners. He paid attention. She or he paid attention to you. Are you happy to share their name just so we can celebrate them?
Her surname might have changed by now, because I think she might have gotten married, but I'm not sure. But her name was Miss Nika.
Miss Nika.
Yeah, she studied veterinary and then realized that her passion is teaching. And so she came to teach at our high school, and she did a fantastic job and is still such an inspiration to me.
That's amazing. Thank you very much for sharing that. I mean, it's valuable teachers like that we need, right? In our education system. So now this leads me to another question. Now I'm curious as to, in those early years when you were in school, was being neurodivergent, did that change how you learned, how you experienced the classroom?
Yeah, so I think, I will admit, I quite excelled in high school, and that primarily came because I decided that my special interest is going to be studying. So it wasn't the healthiest, I will admit. I mostly just studied, and I made sure that I got good grades, and so that I could come to UCT. And because I knew when I was 16 that I was going to come to UCT to study birds. So I knew that I needed to get good grades. So it meant that I also didn't really have a lot of friends, because the way my brain worked, it's just, I never really understood how to properly interact with people. So
the social interactions.
Yeah, the social interactions were really difficult. So I it's to this day, I actually managed to make a lot of friends in university, and it's because I think a lot of people that I've made friends with in university are also neurodivergent.
And they're studying what you're studying? Or they're in the same field?
It's sort of science fields. So they're either a little bit neurodivergent or very neurodivergent, and there's very few of them that are neurotypical. And as a result, it made it a lot easier to make friends.
Absolutely.
But my mother still messages me surprised when I say I'm going to go see a friend, because in high school I didn't have any.
Like what friend?
What friend?
Imaginary friend? Like no.
No, it's a real person.
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking that, Koi, about how you experience the classroom, because here at Kids Innovate Africa, we do robotics, we do game development and animation, and we have our learners that are neurodivergent. And when we bend how we run classes or how we engage with them, you see their faces light up. So their experience is slightly different, because in a typical school, you have to sit a certain way, you have to sit for X amount of minutes.
Yeah.
And that time you need emotional regulation, you need to be moving, right? So, which is why I'm asking how you experience the classroom environment as well.
Yeah. I think it's also one of the reasons why it took so long to identify the autism, is because I was very good at masking it.
Yeah.
So I was able to sit down in a classroom and just focus, but also there were some classes that I very much couldn't focus in, and once I hit matric, I was like, I'm just not gonna come to these classes, and it was mostly English.
Okay.
So, and it very much depends on the interest. So like the physics, maths, and accounting, I was very focused in, and I knew what I wanted to do, and whereas like English, it was pulling teeth.
Yeah. I just have to sit through this because I needed to
I wanted to move around. I wanted to just be anywhere else.
The freedom that we all yearn for. Yes. And you needed it the most in school.
Yes.
Yeah. This is very nice. And what's fascinating about your journey to me and my colleagues that have been in touch with you is the fact that you didn't just stick to the books, right? You led societies, you taught students, and which is a huge step for somebody who's neurodivergent. What did stepping into those different shoes teach you about yourself?
So much. I think that's still one of the biggest things that I can recommend people do. Not just neurodivergent people, but it was such a step out of my comfort zone. So all I really knew is to study, and I needed to do research, because I only got into sort of leading these societies, or properly leading these societies, in my master's year. So I had a lot of this quote unquote free time that was used for research.
Yeah.
And I decided that I would try and do new things. So one of these is being the head of the biological society at 𝐊𝐶𝑇'𝑠. And that was such a big jump for me, because it's like the ADHD brain hates admin. And that's all that it was. It was so much admin, and I hated doing it. But by the end of the year, something had clicked in my brain that this isn't the worst thing on earth. And it was such a plunge into the deep end. And it took so much out of me a lot of the time, because it was also just a lot of social interaction with so many different people. And it's not my normal safety group of my neurodivergent people. It was neurotypical people as well, who were also sometimes difficult people to interact with. And as a result, it sort of made me realize who I was, and sort of made me realize as well that I can do this. I can exist in a world with other divergent and neurotypical people, and it's gonna be okay.
Wow, what a powerful insights! Because as I'm listening to you, 𝐏𝐢, I'm thinking how resilient you must have been to literally getting into this ocean of a different world altogether, but you made it.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I really don't regret, because it took a lot of my time and a lot of my investment, but it really changed me, and it made me, like you said, way more resilient.
I wanted to ask you more, because but I'm not going to ask you more, because there's a lot of things that I'm picking up. It took a lot out of you, right? Because there's a concept that we like our students to operate from a position of strength, and I think you and I talked about this earlier when you said you did robotics in school from grade 10 to 11, and that you didn't like the coding, but you preferred the other side, the research and things. So if you were kind of overly persuaded to do coding, which is something you don't really like, it will also take a lot out of you.
Yes.
But because maybe you're younger, you might not have enough coping mechanisms, like at the master's level, where you were able to do stuff that you wouldn't otherwise do.
Yes.
Essentially.
100%. The only reason that I could have done leading those societies while also tutoring, while also doing a master's, was because I had the coping mechanisms. And I had known at that point that I was autistic, and that I needed special sort of liberties that I need to give myself, because sometimes I would do something and I would get angry at myself, or I'd get frustrated at myself as to why I couldn't do this thing. And realizing that I was autistic made me go, it's okay, this is just because you're struggling right now. Take a 10-minute breather, come back, and you can redo the social situation, or you can redo the admin. And
it's amazing.
Yeah, it took a lot of strength and a lot of just understanding myself, which comes with time.
Yeah, it definitely.
And it's like, because younger me, like if you took me, because that was in 2023, I think, and if you took me from like 2021 or 2022, I would not have been able to do that. It really takes a certain period in your time where things just end up clicking a little bit, and sometimes they don't click.
Yeah.
And
be graceful to yourself.
And then you just have to be graceful to yourself.
Sure, amazing. And just along with that, I'm thinking, and I'm wondering, in fact, whether being neurodivergent has given you kind of a different edge as far as coaching and mentoring or even tutoring is concerned, and also leading the different activities that you are leading or you've led at UCT.
Yeah, so I think for the different society stuff, a lot of the things that I would do, I would try and make it neurodivergent friendly. So like the social interactions, the like big events that we would have, thankfully they were all in nature, so it was a lot easier to make it sort of neurodivergent friendly. But the ones that weren't in nature, it was, okay, this is a space where you can just not talk to anyone. This is a space where if you want to interact with people, you can. With tutoring, I try my best to be patient, because that's what I would have liked, is just someone who is patient. And I try my best to sort of read the students that I have and figure out, do I need to be patient with them, or do they just want to get out of there, and do I need to like sort of coach them a little bit more, a little bit less?
Yeah, it's amazing the things that you're saying, because when I'm listening to you, it says that's the reason why we need representation and inclusivity in certain spaces, because the decisions that you were making in a way that includes everybody, right? To say, this is something I didn't have. This is something I wished I had when I was younger.
Yes.
Now I'm going to give it, which is patience when I'm tutoring, being a little bit more patient with the learners. And this is actually what we see also in our robotics with neurodiverse clubs or workshops. When our students are being celebrated, or when they gain a little bit of confidence around how they're troubleshooting in robotics, they kind of come forward and take opportunity to kind of show leadership amongst their peers.
Yeah.
So that is definitely important to have representation. Now you are in this incredible PhD journey, right? And you are studying something as serious as rapture persecution. It's not a word that's in my vocabulary, but that's kind of what you're studying. You're looking at the bigger picture. I'm wondering, how does being neurodivergent kind of affect how you conduct your research?
I think it helps a lot, because, like I said, the nice thing about being neurodivergent is that your brain kind of likes to fixate on something. And it's obviously not a decision that you get to make if you want to fixate on something.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I'm very passionate about what I do, and I can just sit down and look at this for hours. And sometimes I get bored, sometimes it's too much, but I'm always able to go back to it. And it's the one thing that I will say about being neurodivergent is that you get to be so much more passionate about things, and so much more willing to give your time for something. And I think that really helps with research, because that's what research wants you to do. It wants you to give your time and your energy. And I also think that I bring a very unique perspective to my research in particular. So what I research is essentially human-wildlife conflict. and specifically with raptors in mind, so birds of prey in mind. And it's because birds of prey will hunt things that we find economically and socially and spiritually important. So stuff like game birds and livestock, sometimes pets. And it's all these things that we find important. So as a result, we are in conflict with these raptors. And some people end up killing them. And raptors are a long-lived species, so they will not recover from persecution, so being killed. If they do recover, it takes a very long time. So it's very important research, and it's very important for the conservation of these species. And I bring a very unique perspective, I think, not just being neurodivergent, but also the intersectionality of who I am, being a person of color, being queer, and being neurodivergent. All of these things sort of work together to make me really understand that really have a different perspective to human-wildlife conflict. So a lot of conservationists think of human-wildlife conflict as the people are the problem, and people are the people that kill these animals, and the people that don't like these animals are the problem. And I don't see it that way. So I see it as these are often people that are in a desperate situation, and they're often people that are trying to protect something that they care about. And obviously that isn't always the case, but these are still people at the end of the day. And it's that compassion that I think a lot of conservationists lack, and that I want to bring to this field.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting, because, very, very interesting what you said, that a lot of researchers think the people are the problem.
Yeah.
And you're rethinking that way of that approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I will say that a lot of the compassion that I feel probably also comes from the neurodiversity, where I've had to sit down and think about people and think about how people are interacting with the world, and come with it and with just a more compassionate look.
Very, very insightful, Koi. Thanks for sharing that with us. And now I'm curious whether, because you're so passionate, thanks to your dad, he did a great job of using National Geographic as his partner to keep you calm when you needed a calm moment. And here you are in this unique field where you are really very, you are representing so many groups, and you're making sure that those voices are amplified. So was there ever a moment in your academic life where you felt like, this is a lot, I quit, right? But you didn't, you pushed through.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
So I think it was around my second year of master's. So I also have like a little bit of a unique journey to get to PhD. So I didn't finish my master's. I upgraded my master's to PhD. So essentially what that means is that my master's was big enough, and I could just sort of slap on another chapter and make it a PhD. So as a result, also my PhD is a lot shorter than it should be. So I can finish in like 2 years rather than 3 years. I will be taking the full 3 years though.
Okay.
I'm going to take as much time as I need.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there was a moment when I realized that my brain just can't do this. And maybe I'm just not built for this. And it was a lot to do with the writing stage of my master's, because writing requires you to sit down for hours, type on your laptop, and just get words out.
Think and write.
And write. And it was so draining. And it felt like English again. It felt like pulling teeth out. And I realized that the reason why that was happening was because I was also ADHD, and I needed like medication to like function. And so I went on Concerta, and it's been life-changing, like absolutely life-changing. And I know like a lot of people have different views on medicating for like ADHD and stuff, but it really helped me, and it really changed the way that I because part of writing is that you write something and then you have to look at it again and then look at it again and then rewrite it. And it's just boring.
Yeah.
To put it like plainly, it was just boring. And when I started taking the medication, I was able to do the boring things. Because the interesting stuff is the actual research and like getting data and like field work. And you have to be able to balance both. And realizing that the reason why I couldn't balance both was because of neurodiversity was such an eye-opener. And it was also just another way of me being more patient with myself, giving myself more grace. So yeah, there was a lot of moments where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This is just too difficult. And it was just pushing through, getting the right medication, and just sort of reassuring myself that I made it this far for a reason.
Absolutely. I like the way you're talking about medication, because medication is there to help. You know, there's a science around how this medication is supposed to work and how it's supposed to help you. So I like that you're bringing that up, that you realized you needed support and you went for it. And thanks to that, you're still going.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we should have a segment around medication at some point to talk about this topic, because it's important, right? So now let's move on and talk about your strengths a little bit. I know we've covered quite a few during the conversation, but as you move through in your academic life, you know, your amazing abilities to zone in and zoom in into the details, but also to problem solve generally across the different fields you've been in, or different spaces you've been in. Are there particular strengths that stand out for you that you're like, that's me, right?
I'm very determined.
Okay.
I kind of just call it stubbornness, but it's just pure determination.
That's good.
If something's really difficult and I can't do it, I will just keep going. But I also know when to ask for help. So I think that's a very big thing, is that sometimes there are things that you can't do alone, but I will get it done.
That's a superpower. That's a superpower, because you have a lot of people, but also because we work with learners. I mean, I'm a mom, I've got kids as well. It's such an important skill to teach. You see kids trying out, I'm going to solve this puzzle. Oh, it's hard. I quit. I tried to open it. It didn't work, right? So that's being determined, having resilience. It's such a superpower for sure, because it can get you through anything, essentially.
Yeah. It's gotten me through a lot.
Yeah.
But it's just the ability to go, this is hard, and I don't know if I can do it, but I am going to finish it.
Absolutely. And if I need help, I'm going to ask for help.
Yeah.
𝐏𝐢𝐥𝐥𝐚𝐲, your story, it's such a powerful story. It speaks to not only the students in university or school who are going through schooling, it speaks to researchers, but also it speaks to parents, with your reference to your parents and some teachers as well. If a neurodivergent or any of those people are listening right now, what would you want them to hear from you?
Let's see. I think it's just, don't give up. It's very easy to give up, and it's a little controversial, but it's almost very easy to say, I can't do this thing because I'm autistic or because I'm ADHD. And I think it's very powerful to ask for help in those moments, but never stop yourself from doing something because of it. So I think a lot of people would not think that they could be in a workplace or be in tertiary education, but there are support structures for you.
Yeah.
And there are people that are willing to help you and make extra accommodations for you. But you should never put your you should never stop yourself from trying to pursue something because you think, I can't do this thing because I'm autistic or I'm ADHD or I'm neurodivergent. It's you're limiting yourself, and that's just not going to end well, because you're very capable. And
Absolutely. And when you say that, 𝐏𝐢𝐥𝐥𝐚𝐲, I'm thinking of all the parents and all the experts that we've interviewed who are saying exactly the same as what you're saying. never say, I cannot do this because I've got this. But as you say, this might also be controversial because there are others who are actually struggling and they just can't.
Yeah. So it's like, obviously, if you are super struggling, then it's worth like looking at different support structures to get to where you want to be. But there's a lot of people that I know that are also like I said, a lot of the friends I have are very neurodivergent as well, and they have struggled. But thankfully, 𝐊𝐶TE in particular has this disability center, and this disability center is working very hard to make these extra accommodations.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. And maybe as an extension to, you've just spoken so kindly and so graciously to other neurodivergent people out there. But what would you want a teacher, right, an educator, or a professor in the lecture room to hear right now?
I think patience. Understand that neurodivergent people need patience, and also just understanding, because it's very easy to live in a bubble of neurotypicality where you see the world in a very specific way and you refuse to see the world in a different way. So learning about neurodivergency, learning about how different neurodivergent people will act and what they need is so important to being a good lecturer and a good educator. And I feel like it should be in your training in some way to know how to deal with neurodivergency, because it shouldn't just be teachers that are in sort of these like
special needs schools, things like that.
It shouldn't be that. It should just be people like educators and professors in these like sort of normal schools, quote unquote, that also know how to deal with neurodivergency, because it really should not be this difficult sort of barrier of entry that it is.
It shouldn't be. We had a radiographer, quite just to add to what you're saying, a radiographer who's in the medical field, right? And she's alluding to a radiographer, but also an autism expert who's exploring collaborations with universities that are teaching educations to say neurodiversity should be part of modules or part of the courses that, if you know, these professions, people in this profession study, because when you graduate, you're going to meet all types of humans in the university or in the schooling system. If you're studying medicine or whatever field you are in, like the radiographer, you're going to have all sorts of patients coming in. So it becomes a valuable skill to have, to know how to support different types of people.
Exactly.
So to your point.
No, exactly. It is just, there's so many different types of people, and you don't need to know how to sort of deal with every single type of neurodivergency, but just some amount of understanding and knowing that you just need to be patient is honestly right now more than enough.
Absolutely. And here at with our robotics in STEM field, that's something we put at the center of what we do. We try to make sure we apply patience. We try to make sure we understand the different types of students that are coming in, so that we can support them. You know, we have a sensory cave, for example. If a child feels overwhelmed and maybe overly stimulated, they can come in here and they can use some of these toys to kind of regulate themselves. So it's very important that if we are in a privileged position of teaching and working with other young people, that we create environments where they feel they can just be themselves.
Yes.
So I'm happy that you touched on that as well. Kai, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making time to come here and share so graciously your journey and your experience in such an insightful way, and to hear your story, that neurodiversity isn't a barrier. It shouldn't be a barrier. It's a gift. It's something that we should celebrate, that we should embrace, because we're better when we're inclusive. It shapes how you see and how you lead and how you create. And for everyone, and for anyone listening, please remember this. Your path doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Sometimes the very things that makes you different are the things that make you extraordinary. This is it from Beyond the Box with Emma. Please remember to like, share, and follow us. Good night.